Everyone knew the old man who sat in the same corner of McDonald's every day. Teenagers laughed at him, staff felt uncomfortable, until someone actually read what was written on his cap. At that moment, the entire restaurant froze, and no one ever laughed again. Welcome to Unnoticed Stories. Before we continue with this powerful story, tell me in the comments what city you're watching this video from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, subscribe to the channel and help us honor these unforgettable moments. It was exactly 12:30 p.m. The lunch rush at McDonald's was as busy as always. Families had come with their children. High school students sat in groups. Office workers were hurriedly placing orders. But at the corner table, by the window, there was a man who sat in the same place at the same time every single day. No one knew his name. They just referred to him as the old man in the corner. He wore the same clothes every day, an old flannel shirt, washed-out jeans, and a blue cap that he never took off. His order was always the same: large black coffee, no sugar, no milk. The staff had grown accustomed to his presence. He never caused trouble, never raised his voice, never complained. He would simply sit there for exactly 2 hours, slowly sipping his coffee and staring out the window as if watching for something that never came. "He's here again," whispered 16-year-old Emma to her friend Chloe. The two young girls sat at the opposite table playing with their phones while watching the old man. "I think he has no one at home. That's why he comes here," Chloe giggled. "Maybe he's gone crazy and doesn't even realize it. Look, he stares at the same spot for hours. He doesn't even move." Indeed, the old man sat motionless, his hands curved around the coffee cup, his eyes looking out the window. But it wasn't clear what he was seeing. It was as if he was lost somewhere far away, in another time. His weathered face told stories of a life lived, but no one bothered to ask what those stories might be. Marcus, a 22-year-old working behind the counter, felt uncomfortable watching this scene. He had been working at this McDonald's for 3 years, and the old man had been a regular for at least that long. "I should tell manager Jim," he thought. "This man is bothering customers. Kids are making fun of him, families are changing their tables." Just then, a group of high school students arrived. Among them were Tyler, Josh, and Alex. All three were on the football team and thought they were very cool. They had just finished practice and were still wearing their Letterman jackets. "Look, our old friend is here again," Tyler said loudly, intentionally so the old man could hear. "Same place, same time every day. He's definitely a pre-programmed robot." Josh laughed. "Maybe he was born at the same time as us, but never grew up?" "Shh," Alex warned, but he was starting to laugh too. "Maybe he can hear us." But the old man showed no reaction. As if he couldn't hear them, he kept his gaze fixed out the window. This was even more annoying for the teenagers. They were used to getting reactions from people, especially adults who would tell them to behave. "Hey, Grandpa," Tyler called out a bit louder. "How's the weather today?" No response. "I guess he's deaf," Josh said, "or really lost in his own world." "Maybe he's waiting for someone," Alex suggested, though his tone suggested he didn't really believe it. Meanwhile, manager Jim emerged from behind the counter. He was a middle-aged, slightly overweight man who was very particular about customer satisfaction. When he saw the teenagers making fun of the old man, he frowned. This was exactly the kind of situation he wanted to avoid. "Boys, please," he said, approaching them. "Don't disturb other customers." Tyler shrugged. "We're just being polite, sir, but this man never responds. Maybe he's sick or something." Jim looked at the old man. The man really wasn't reacting at all. He was drinking his coffee, looking out the window. But what was going through Jim's mind was different. This man is reducing our customer count. People are uncomfortable because of him. At that moment, the door opened, and a young man in his mid-20s entered. His name was David, and he taught history at a nearby university. He had come to quickly grab something during his lunch break. David had always been sensitive to injustice, perhaps because his job involved teaching about historical struggles and human dignity. While David waited in the order line, he heard the teenagers making fun of the old man. His heart sank. He couldn't stand scenes like this. It reminded him of all the lessons he taught about how societies treat their most vulnerable members. "He's really very strange," Emma was saying loudly. "He does the same thing every day, like a routine zombie." "Maybe like I said," Chloe added. "Maybe he doesn't have a TV at home, so he comes here for entertainment." David felt his anger rising. These kids had no idea what they were talking about. They saw an old man and immediately assumed he was somehow deficient or broken. It was exactly the kind of prejudice he tried to teach his students to avoid.
David couldn't take it anymore. After getting his order, he approached the old man's table. Maybe he could have a polite conversation. At least he could make the man feel like he wasn't alone in a room full of people who seemed determined to mock him. "Hello," David said in a soft voice. "I'm David. I see you here often too. Is everything okay?" The old man slowly raised his head. His eyes met David's. At that moment, David noticed something. These weren't just old eyes. These were eyes that had seen a lot. Deep, heavy, tired, but equally sharp eyes. There was intelligence there and something else. Experience. The kind that comes from living through things most people couldn't imagine. "I'm fine, son," the old man said. His voice was hoarse but clear. "Thank you for asking," David smiled. "I'm relatively new to this area. Are you from around here?" "I've been here for a long time," the man said. "A very long time." There was something in the way he said it that made David pause. It wasn't just about living in the area. It was deeper than that, as if he had earned the right to be here through some kind of sacrifice. During the conversation, David's eye caught the man's cap. The cap was faded blue, worn out. It looked like it had been through a lot, but there was writing on it. David tried to look more closely, squinting to make out the faded letters. And at that moment, his heart stopped. On the cap, written in old, weathered letters, it said, "Vietnam Veteran." David's breath caught. His legs trembled. At that moment, everything changed. This wasn't just an old man. This was a Vietnam veteran. This man had fought in one of the most difficult wars in history for his country, maybe lost friends, maybe been wounded, maybe experienced things David couldn't even imagine. "Sir," David said, his voice trembling, Did you fight in Vietnam?" The old man nodded slowly. "From 1968 to 1971, 173rd Airborne Brigade." David's eyes filled with tears. At that moment, he stood up and made a deep gesture of respect. Thank you for your service." This movement caught the attention of everyone sitting in the restaurant. People looked at David, then at the old man. What was happening? Why was this young man suddenly showing such respect to the old man they had all been ignoring? David collected himself and spoke loudly. "Everyone, have you ever read what's written on this man's cap?" The restaurant fell silent. Everyone looked curiously. Even the teenagers stopped their chattering. "This man is a Vietnam veteran. He fought for our country in the Vietnam War. He served in the 173rd Airborne Brigade." Emma's face turned ashen. Chloe's mouth hung open. Tyler, Josh, and Alex looked at each other, almost sinking into the ground with shame. Manager Jim approached, saw the cap up close, and swallowed hard. "Vietnam veteran," he read slowly. Then he turned to the old man. "Sir, I didn't know. I apologize." The old man smiled. "You didn't need to know, son. I'm not here for that." "Then why do you come here?" David asked. The man looked out the window. "Because there's life here. Young people laughing, families happy, children playing. This reminds me of what I fought for." At that moment, Emma got up from her table and came to the old man. Her eyes were teary. "Sir, I'm so sorry for making fun of you. I didn't know that—" "You didn't know because I didn't tell you," the man said. "It's okay, girl. Youth is like that." Tyler also approached. Despite being the captain of the football team, he felt very small at that moment. "Sir, I apologize too. I was disrespectful. What did you experience in Vietnam?" The old man was silent for a long time. Then he spoke. "Some things aren't told, son. They're lived and carried. But I can tell you this. The friends I lost there died, so you could laugh and play freely here." There was deep silence in the restaurant. No one was talking. At that moment, everyone understood that this man's daily routine was actually like a monument. Coming every day and sitting at the same table, seeing that life continues, watching the results of the freedom they fought for. Marcus came from behind the counter.
The young employee wiped his eyes. "Sir," he said, "from now on, your coffee is on us. Every day. Free." Manager Jim nodded. "Marcus is right, and let's set aside a special table for you, the best spot by the window." "No need," the old man said. "This table is perfect. I'll stay here." David took out his wallet from inside his jacket. "Sir, what's your name? I want to know." Frank Morrison." "Frank Morrison," David said loudly. "Let's not forget this name. This man fought for our freedom." At that moment, everyone in the restaurant stood up, slowly, spontaneously. Emma, Chloe, Tyler, Josh, Alex, Marcus, Jim, other customers, they were all standing for Frank Morrison. Frank was surprised. "What are you doing, kids?" "We're showing you respect," David said. "The respect you deserve." Applause began. First one person, then two people, then the entire restaurant. Frank's eyes welled up. No one had shown him such respect for 50 years. Everything changed from that day on. Every time Frank came, people greeted him. Young people chatted with him. Children asked him questions. McDonald's employees showed him special attention. Frank still comes to the same table every day. He still drinks the same coffee. But he's not alone anymore. He's not invisible anymore. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you,